Hollywood.
Oh!
And that's definitely nowhere close to being true. Like,
yeah, screenplay is way less content, also.
Yeah, like the amount of detail, a screenplay is like 90% dialogue.
Yeah, and then you just, for the scenery, you just describe what's happening so that you know what it would look like. Like, you don't have to describe it so that someone can imagine it perfectly.
Yeah, you just have to say, like, they're in a car.
Yes. And also, I mean, if you're writing a really short novella or something, you could do, like, 30,000 words, 20,000 words. Really
no, I mean,
short,
I'm probably aiming for, like, well, I don't know. I thought I was on my other computer for a second. I was going to pull it up, but it's on the other computer. But no, I'm probably aiming, I think, in general, like, the standard amount for, like, a new book is somewhere in the range of, like, 80 to 100,000 words. I'm pretty sure 100 is, like, pushing it for most modern-day publishers.
For fantasy, that's 80 to 100,000 is, like, your standard short.
It's in the ballpark, for sure. Yeah.
But I mean, for a new coming author, most of the time they don't want an epic from a new author.
Yeah, no one is going to buy... Like, with Tolkien, he had The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings. And it was sort of like... The Hobbit is much more... It's more of a children's story. It's much shorter. It's much less narratively complex. Like, there's much fewer characters. Which is funny because The Hobbit has tons of characters. But it still has much fewer characters than The Lord of the Rings. I mean, all of the dwarves in The Hobbit, like, yes, they're all named, and yes, they all do things, but as far as, like, actually being, like, important to the story on their own, there's much fewer, like, actual important characters.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's, like, Thorin, and then I think Nori is the one's name.
I mean, I don't know about the book. I haven't actually read it, so...
Oh, I actually think as a literary experience, The Hobbit is much better than The Lord of the Rings.
That's probably true. I mean, I started
and I think The Lord of the Rings is a better movie.
Well, yeah,
Like, the Hobbit movie is not even close to being good.
The Hobbit movie was more just...
Well, part 1 and 2 was, like... If it had ended well, part 1 and 2 would have been okay.
They were good movies, but they were more on par with, like, Marvel movies than the original Lord of the... Like, they were more just, like, a spectacle, and, like... I don't know. That's how I felt about them.
They were going to be directed by Guillermo del Toro, which is a large reason for that, and then... He basically dropped out, like, 3 or 4 months before they were going to start shooting the movie, if I remember correctly. So Peter Jackson basically went from being executive producer to all of a sudden having to direct them. And the thing is, especially once you've watched the making of The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson took, like, 6 years to storyboard... Like, he had planned out every shot of the movie before...
Every shot of the trilogy.
Every shot, yes, of the entire trilogy. Pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't say shot for shot, but, like, pretty much every shot he planned out, or at least thought of beforehand. So, you go from that level of preparation to... all of a sudden there's this other guy who's been workshopping his own version of the script, his own version of the movie. He wanted to take it into much more of a... I mean, he has his own style that he wanted to put on it. So, like, I know, like, a lot of the goblins look really different in The Hobbit as compared to how they looked in Lord of the Rings.
Well, yeah,
that's a big reason why.
There weren't goblins in Lord of the Rings. I don't think.
Yeah, there are. Well, they're called orcs.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
But they're the same thing.
Well, yeah, they're orcs in Lord of the Rings. Then they're called goblins. So I feel like they're a different thing.
They're not though. Well, there's Uruk-hai, which are different.
Yes, but there were orcs and Uruk-hai in Lord of the Rings. Like those were the only two things. They never encountered goblins. Which again, it's a different word. They might be representing the same thing.
they're.
Well, no, because I feel like in
they're
the Hobbit,
same,
there were orcs and there were goblins. They are two different things.
I don't know. I feel like we could spin our wheels.
That's just how it is. Like there's.
I don't think that that's the case, but
I don't know about actual Tolkien. That's not what I'm saying. Like I'm not sure if actually in Tolkien there were orcs and goblins. Like
yeah, I'm talking about in the book.
Yeah, see, I'm not sure. I'm just talking about in The Hobbit. I was talking about in the movie. The goblins and orcs are different things.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just if you only watch the movies, that seems much more plausible because they actually look quite a bit different.
Oh, fuck. I need to delete some shit. I only have 3 gigabytes.
The orcs that they encounter in the Mines of Moria, for example, in Fellowship of the Ring, are they're the same beings in the Tolkien universe as the goblins he encounters in The Hobbit.
Got it.
It's the Uruk-hai are they're actually elves that were turned into orcs, basically.
Oh, okay. All I knew is they took a mud bath and suddenly were powerful warriors.
There's actually a really interesting dynamic where, like, Saruman as a character, like, I
think I can delete this.
Like, the fact that he starts doing, like, basically experimentation on the different beings, and, like, he's like a mad scientist almost, who's creating, like, a Frankenstein's monster type of thing. But he creates Uruk-hai, you know?
Yeah.
Breeding experiments, that's the word.
Breeding?
But I know, in the making of, they talked about how, like, he has, like, sort of a god complex because he's trying to make new beings that are, like, perfected above that of everyone else.
He's trying to, make the perfect person. Of course, in the books, it also gets more into, like, the wizards are a different species, aren't they? Like, they're their own thing.
I don't know about species, but, like, there's only 5 of them.
But, like, they're their own thing. Like, they're somewhat immortal,
kind of.
And, like...
It's almost like... I'm trying to think of a good allegory. Of, like, other beings, like, in other series, you know?
Yeah.
Like, in Avatar, the Avatar is the same as everyone else, he just has extra powers. But yeah, like, there is some sort of qualitative difference between Gandalf. Like, you wouldn't expect him to bleed the same as a normal man.
Oh.
Almost, you know?
That's hot.
Your lighting is extremely harsh, by the way.
Yeah, that's fair. I need to close that.
So hard trying to make professional content. Maybe someday we'll live closer to each other. Do you honestly see that happening?
Damn, that's still bright.
Yeah, it kind of is what it is. It would probably just help if you turned on the light that's above you.
Yeah, that's
true. It would just even it out more. Now it's just very bright.
Yeah, which it is. Just say it's very.
Okay,
dim.
No, it's adjusting.
It's adjusting.
There you
go. It just took a minute. I was gonna say it's very dim in here. Like I can barely see.
It's still pretty harsh, but it's not bad. It's not as bad.
I can.
Since we always record this on like Sunday night, I always have like a little bit of a beard going on.
Oh.
So I feel like the people like who see this show, they're just gonna think that I have a constant like half beard.
I mean,
but that's not the case.
I generally have a bit of a beard going on too. Hold on, let me get some charging.
No one would be able to tell though. Is all this being recorded? Or no? Dead air. Can you hear me? Must have unplugged. Can you hear me again?
What? I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I was talking and you couldn't hear me.
Oh.
I said in Frank's voice, I was like, dead air.
Dead air.
I just watched that clip a couple days ago. He's like, here, suck on a lemon. He's like, lemons? Well, at least they're good for scurvy.
Well, they're good for scurvy. Sure.
So yeah, but you're recording all this?
Yes, this has all been recorded.
Okay.
Also, so I discovered for some reason the OBS, well, it automatically captures the mic, but I had run an input channel on it, so that's just if you were wanting to record from multiple mics at the same time. So that'd be like multiple people.
I was pretty sure that that's what you had done. I'm pretty sure I told you that that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, you did, and then I fixed it.
Only took a couple weeks of badgering.
I don't recall you saying that prior to 2 days ago.
Maybe not. The last weeks have flown by for me, so honestly I have no idea.
Same.
I've been having so many dreams recently, and I have alluded to this in our messages. There's some mornings when I wake up and I literally just feel so dissociated because my dream was so powerful.
That's hot.
It takes me 10 minutes to actually come back to reality fully.
10 minutes.
Well, I mean,
yeah, that's
when I'm not setting an alarm also and getting right up, you're kind of just dozing a bit. So I'll sometimes fall back asleep almost just because I'm still in the dream headspace.
Yeah, I definitely get that. For sure, there are times when I wake up and I'm still dreaming, or my dream is still real to me.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy to me is just the clarity with which I'm remembering them now. It's either the acid or the fact that I've started writing a book. But I mean, my mom thinks it's because I started writing. She's like, oh yeah, all the emotional content. She doesn't use that word, but she basically was like, yeah, things will start coming up more because you're actually writing.
I mean, also you're keeping track of your dreams more now, right?
I had to start writing them down. I mean, before, the thing was that before I had enough bandwidth to where if I had a crazy dream once every 2 weeks,
yeah, you could remember it.
You can remember it. You have time to digest it, and then you can sort of move on. I never felt the need to write them down, but the problem is I'm just having so many now that I don't have time to digest them all.
I mean, gotta pick and choose. What's worthy of your time?
Oh, there's that cooler.
Huh?
The cooler? So loud.
See, I can't hear it in the recording.
Oh, well, it might not be recording for you, but it's really loud to me, but I don't know.
Which is strange. Yeah, because I did a couple test calls with Magda this morning.
Oh, okay.
Just to test out to see if the cooler gets into it, fix the echo issue, see which mic works better, that sort of thing. So
I mean, I can't imagine that it wouldn't affect it, but
honestly,
you never know.
The mic, and you know how OBS shows you how much background noise is being picked up, and that I don't know if you know what.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But it just kicked on. The background noise stays the same. So like for some reason, this mic, the background noise is always at like 40 out of 100, even when it's as quiet as I think it can be. So who knows?
But I mean, the fact that it doesn't get any worse is, I guess, a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. It's odd that you can hear it, but it doesn't show up in the recording.
Well, that's the thing, is if it's taking the input audio from the call, like...
Well, no, so how I have it set up right now, it's a window capture and then audio output capture. So it's everything I can hear, and then it's just a mic capture. So the mic capture happens automatically. Every other line you have to manually put in.
So I'm probably hearing your laptop audio, and it's recording the mic audio.
I guess maybe the laptop audio is still coming through to you? I'm not sure. Well, I have the laptop set up to use this microphone, which...
Well, I did hear that when you touched it, so I don't know. I can't imagine no one would hear it, though. But anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just can't hear it on the recordings, because there's other background noise. Like, I wait for it to shut off, and then I listen to the recordings. I
don't know. I wouldn't worry about it terribly, but... I mean, this show, honestly, could just continue to be a dumpster fire until the end of time, and I wouldn't care that much.
It's, it'll be a dumpster fire until someone pays us to do
it. Well, yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's if someone wants to sponsor us.
Well, if we were in the same room,
it would also be helpful.
It would be a lot easier because you can get a single audio source and you can get it pretty crisp. But
actually, OBS makes it pretty easy. Like I now realize you can do multiple audio sources very easily. So we could each have our own microphone, and it would record us in 2 different lines. So we could.
If we're both in the same room, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think I could connect Bluetooth to your microphone?
I don't know if my microphone has Bluetooth.
I mean, at that distance, satellite
anything's
connection
possible.
For Bluetooth.
Bluetooth is such a piece of garbage. Like, I honestly don't. I don't believe the hype.
What do you mean?
Well, like, there's this huge push now to like Bluetooth headphones. Like, that's one of the reasons.
The cordless earbuds.
Yeah, like the iPhone no longer has a headphone jack because they just expect you to have Bluetooth headphones.
Oh.
But like, to me, I see the advertisements and they're like, this is the world-class level of headphone. Like the Raycons, that's the one that like sponsors tons of like podcasts or like YouTube channels or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, with over 8 hours of battery life, you can listen to music for an entire like day or whatever. And I'm like, how is 8 hours of battery life something to brag about? Like, compared to literally infinite amount of time.
Compared to infinite time
you get from a headphone jack and just regular headphones. It's, like the fact, like we've gone backwards.
It's compared to other headless or wireless.
No, I get that, but it's like why? Like, how could I possibly be convinced to transfer to that technology?
Because you don't have to deal with the cord anymore. It's so easy, no cord.
I feel like the typical modern day person has like 7 different things that they have to charge every single day. Like. Okay, I'm supposed to have Bluetooth headphones, an Apple Watch, like a notebook laptop or an iPad, a phone, a Fitbit, you know.
I think the Apple Watch covers that. If you wear an Apple Watch and a Fitbit, you're a freak.
I've met people who wear both.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know if the average person does that. Like, probably not. But you know what I mean, though. It's like we've gone from having like one thing
Yeah,
that you had to charge.
we've reversed. So like originally it was machines are very specific, and you have to like you have a pager and a car phone and like like you have different devices to be contacted different places, and then we're like it's amazing we have this smartphone. It's all in one.
Oh shit! My alarm's going off.
Oh no!
This is a very special alarm because there's an eBay auction. I got a snipe.
Oh!
Go on.
What's it for?
Some more books.
Wait,
Getting them on the cheap.
what lot is this?
This is just a lot of 3. It's from the Andre Norton guy.
Ah. To the right. There you go. Oh.
Those books.
My dad has a ton of those.
They seem cool as hell.
He has, like, my estimate is about 70 of them, of Andre Norton's books.
Really?
Because, you know, they're tiny, and he has, like, several stacks that just, you know, back when he was a kid, that's what they got.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point I have enough books that I won't need to buy any more for, like, a long time.
I mean, you have, what, like 70?
There's even more coming.
Oh.
Like, there was just... I just want to tear. I probably spent like $100 on books.
That's an easy... That's like a every month or two for me.
Alright, I'm gonna snipe the fuck out of this auction. There's 2 other bidders. Literally, like, you will never lose. If you just, like, 10 seconds before the auction is gonna close...
You just up it by a cent?
No. So the way the eBay system works now is that everyone just puts in their maximum bid, and then eBay will just auto-pick the person with the highest bid.
Ah.
So even if... like, back in the day, you could really snipe stuff because, yeah, you could just outbid someone by a cent and you would get it.
Yeah.
And everybody's, like, network connection and refresh rate was so slow that you literally couldn't refresh the page within the last 10 seconds of the auction. So if you knew your refresh rate really well, and then you just, like, you upped your bid right so that it would go through the system, like, right when I was about to end, you could always, like, you could win every time, practically.
So
unless there was someone else doing the same thing who bid higher. But
I mean, yeah, that's the... I mean, the same thing could happen now. You know, there's someone else could be trying to snipe it.
But at the very least, they won't up their maximum bid. Yeah. So if you just outbid them, there's no way for them to add to their bid. Because, like, if something is $3, they're going to put in, like, 5 or something. Okay, I got to put in my bid. There's only 15 seconds left.
Hurry.
I'll bid up to $7. Think that's enough? Oh. I'm gonna run out of time.
I mean, go to a used bookstore. You can get most.
You're not the highest bidder.
You're not.
Oh no! I think I lost.
It's nice. 360 no scope.
Damn. Well, okay. The highest bidder bid like $10. So.
Yeah.
And so it'd be $13 for three of those little paperbacks, so I'm not too mad about that.
Yeah, $4 a book is about what is probably a little more than you'd expect to pay at a bookstore.
Well, I mean, my average so far is probably like $1.25 per book.
It's pretty
out of the lots that I've bought, so
it's not bad.
Yeah, I have like probably 80 or 90 books coming in the mail.
Oh. Nice. Are they all the like vintage science fiction collections?
Pretty much, yeah. Sci-fi fantasy.
Sure.
And my mom's rebuke was, she's like, these books will never be published today, so why are you even reading them?
I mean, it's a valid point.
But the thing is, that's not
Stylistically, they are not helpful.
style is not what I'm after though. I just need to stimulate my cortex.
But the reason you need to read a lot of books is to understand style. Like that's what reading a lot of books will help with. Like you need to read some newer books. Like yes, old books are good too. Like you can read a lot of them, but you need to read some newer fantasy also if you want to get published. Like if that is a goal of yours, you do need to read some newer stuff most likely.
See, that's not my end all be all goal though. Like I just want to write something good and then
just put it out into the world.
Not necessarily, but like I've seen the way that my mom has struggled over the years, and I feel like I don't necessarily want to just have like constant rejection and pain for like the rest of my life.
Oh,
just because it's my dream to get published.
I mean, I do feel like she should have given up on that book a while ago.
But she's written multiple books.
I know, but like the Pandora's Reversal one, she's put out and re-put out like several times over the last 10 years, I think.
I mean, I don't know if she's totally given up on it, but she's working on a different one now, so I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. See, in my opinion, a book is like you try it out, and if it doesn't really work, you abandon it and move on to a new premise. I don't know. I guess.
I mean, yeah, if your only goal is to get something published, yeah, like my goal is not to get something published, because like if I was writing, like I could easily force myself. Well, not easily. I would have to force myself because it would be against my sensibilities.
Oh.
But I could force myself to write something commercial that would probably be much more likely to get published. But that's not really my goal. Like,
your goal is to write a story that you enjoy.
Yeah, like, well, I remember like C.S. Lewis saying that he basically wrote the type of books that he wanted to read.
Yeah.
And like for me, I mean, it's the same thing with like when I wrote the screenplay. It was like I wrote it so that I could experience the story for myself. And like now, it's as if I watched that movie and I can like remember that movie now,
Yeah. Well.
So I don't know. I'm still in the very early stages of it, so I really don't want to concern myself too much with like.
That's fair.
Commercial viableness.
But that's the thing too. Is like, you only need to aim for 80 to 100,000 words if you're wanting to get it published. Like, aim for however long you think the book should be if you're not worried about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, yeah, I at this point I'm just writing whatever floats into my melon that I think is good.
Oh.
So. Yeah, I'm still. I mean, I've only written like 6,000 words so far, which is.
It's just the intro.
Basically. If you were a high school senior, it would be a lot, but for a published book, is not that much.
Yeah, I've written 5,000 words many times. 5,000 words is like 2 or 3 days when you first have the premise in your mind, and you just kind of like ratchet out some shit about it. That's 5,000 words.
Yeah, I mean, like so far, the stuff I've written hasn't even been. Like, it's not like I started at the beginning and just wrote everything in sequential order.
Oh.
Like, sometimes I'm just like.
Oh, later on there should be this scene, and you type it up, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gone that far ahead. Like, I've only skipped like a few scenes.
See, that's the hard part. Is like, if a scene is so boring that you kind of just want to skip it and write the next scene, you have to reconsider it as being a valid scene for your book. That's what I found too. I found myself hitting roadblocks where it's like, I feel like this needs to happen next, but it's kind of boring. So, like, how can you rework it? I don't really want to write that.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know. I mean, like the thing. Well, the fun part about writing also is that you discover the story as you're writing it. And it's hard to have that happen. Like, if you just have figured a bunch of stuff out, you don't necessarily want to write the stuff you already figured out. You want to, like, figure out new stuff.
I mean, yeah, it depends on your writing style, but
I don't know. I have to bring up, by the way, the fact that your shirt is it's I don't know, what can I say?
it was a gift.
I mean, I wouldn't wear it, but
You wouldn't?
I hear you. I mean, I don't even know what the show is from.
It's from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I'm not a huge fan, but
I mean, I would say in general it has less to do with the content of the show and more the fact that it is a show. Like, I've never,
it's a shirt.
for my own personal, like, I don't like wearing things that, like, promote something. Like, even though I'm a fan of the Beatles, I would never just wear a shirt with the cover of Abbey Road on it.
Sure.
I would never do that. Like,
okay. See, I refuse to pay for something that will promote something. I'm not free advertising. You know, or like, I am free advertising, but I won't pay to advertise for people.
see, I don't like advertising in general, so it's like,
it's just a shirt.
yeah, I feel like you think about it less than I do, but
I really don't give a shit about, like, it was the top shirt on the pile. That's why I'm wearing it today. Like, there's no choice that went into picking my clothes today. It was the top shorts pile and the top on the shirt pile. And that's my outfit for the day. Like, that's all the thought I ever put into it. So,
well, I mean, if you're not going anywhere, also, it doesn't.
even if I'm going places, it doesn't. That's how I decide.
I feel like you need a haircut.
Oh, it's gotten pretty long.
It's just, it's starting to look like you've done meth a few times, and you're not really sure.
That's the look I'm going for. The meth head can't afford a haircut look.
I don't know. I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I feel like I have more hair on my head than you do somehow. It's bizarre.
That's because yours is poofy.
I don't know.
Mine
It's
is
actually, it's not too long right now. I'm getting wings on the side, just barely.
Wings Over America.
Yep.
See, I don't know what your problem would be with advertising for something you like promoting something that you think other people should listen to.
Wings Over America.
Oh.
Triple album. Bought at Bookman's for $15.
Not bad.
The set list is actually pretty good. Venus and Mars, Rock Show, Jet, Let Me Roll It, and then Spirits of Ancient Egypt. Yeah, it's there's the album Venus and Mars by Wings.
Uh-huh.
I feel like they basically, like, that album exists in a better form on this in the live show than the actual album.
Oh.
But it's still, a lot of that material still I'm not, like, super familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it almost at all.
But then, like, okay, listen to this side too. Maybe I'm amazed. It's a hitter. Call Me Back Again. I'm not super familiar with that one, to be honest. But then Lady Madonna.
Oh.
The Long and Winding Road. Live and Let Die.
Oh.
That's what I call it side two. So, yeah, there's a lot of good songs in this.
A lot of bangers.
Well, actually, I must say it's really sad. My record player gave up the ghost.
It did. What happened?
So, I mean, it only cost like $100. So.
Oh.
Well, I just couldn't get it. Like, first when I plugged it in, the motor was just spinning constantly. Oh. And I was like, that's weird. So I tried to hit stop, and like it didn't do anything.
You just gotta put it on and go.
Well, then I like unplugged it, put a record on, and tried to do just that. And when I plugged it back in, I expected it to just start going, but then it just didn't go.
Would it go?
I was like pressing all the buttons and like just didn't do anything. So
you need to get a manual crank one. Just like
it could just have something simple wrong with it that you could fix by taking it apart, but
I'm not a record player.
I'm not sure. I think I haven't really used it since I moved here, so I think it might have been damaged on the move, like when I moved here. So I don't know.
It's possible.
Oh well.
We have the same record player now. The same model. I like it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's standard.
Yeah, I probably... See, the thing is, I feel like I should have a nicer one. It's just that... To me, it's more about having the square.
Yeah, the records are more important than actually listening to them.
Which I feel like is a sin against nature, but... Music is just so readily available via the phone.
It is. And that's the thing. It's like, there are very few records that you can't just pull up on your phone and listen to. Like...
I mean, through the phone speaker, that's sort of an offense to me.
But you can just Bluetooth it to a better speaker.
Well, I'll like use these headphones if I'm really, really gonna listen to music. But yes,
like
I'll just Bluetooth to my speaker. Yeah.
Listening to the records is just it's more for the experience. It's like just having a playlist that's already set up for you.
Well, that's the other thing too, is you have to be someone who really enjoys albums.
Yeah, like you're going to listen to the whole album. You're not just going to pick your favorite songs out of it when you listen.
Or at the very least, an entire side, which is going to be could be 20-some minutes long. Like 22 minutes, I think, is the most it can hold. So like between 18 to 22 minutes of music.
25 minutes.
They're generally...
The Wall is about 25 minutes aside. Maybe even 26.
It could be. I mean, I know it varies.
It's an hour and 42 minutes over 4 sides. So, there you go.
An hour... So, yeah, that's 100 minutes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the limits of recording are.
Well, it might be
vinyl, but
yeah, I don't know. I thought it was around 22, but
that's probably like the standard. Well,
in any case,
aren't most albums about 50 minutes?
Not older ones. A lot of the older ones are shorter than that. I mean, the White Album, I think, is like an hour and 25, hour 30 maybe.
And it's 4 sides?
Yeah, it's a double LP. But yeah, like, it's a shame because I really like collecting them, but like, there's, for example, this copy of the White Album that is still in the shrink.
Oh.
It's the Here, let me try and...
Right there. That's the sweet spot.
The anniversary edition. The new, like, they remixed it, you know?
It's 50 years or whatever.
And it's still in the shrink, man. I was like...
It's a collector's item.
I mean, that's not why, though. Like, I'm not trying to keep it virgin.
Yeah.
I just never have had the occasion to listen to the White Album on vinyl since I got it.
And, I mean, especially, like...
And I have another copy of it anyways, so...
Yeah, because the only time you really are going to listen on the record is when that's what you're doing. Like, I listen to The Wall occasionally on record because, like, that's the activity, and it's the whole experience of, like, okay, side 1 is done. Now I'm preparing myself for side 2. And, like...
Well, I will say, too, I think with Acid, it makes a big difference.
Having the records?
Yeah.
Like, it's worse or better?
Oh, it's better. Like, you just want to put something on and just fly with it. But, like, having this, it's cool. Like, it's a gigantic square of album art. And, I mean, the camera doesn't really do it justice, but, like, it's extremely colorful. And, like, you know.
It'd be good
and, like,
for
all the lyrics
Adison.
are on the back, you know. Like, it's kind of hard with the glare, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the lyrics are on there, you know. You can look for clues for the Paul is dead myth. Like, on the back here, Paul is the only one who is not facing the camera.
Oh.
So that's they think that Billy Shears is the one who is in that photo because, like, you know, he didn't look enough like Paul yet or whatever. They hadn't finished the surgeries or whatever they say.
Oh, that's the conspiracy theory?
I don't know exactly what the theory is, but yeah, like, so he's turned around in this picture. Or, like, on another theory that's really funny. So the Abbey Road cover, obviously iconic, right?
Uh-huh. Paul's
So-
not wearing shoes.
Paul, you're correct. Paul's not wearing shoes. So the theory is that the actual meaning of this, again, it's hard with the glare, but the theory is that this is a funeral procession.
Oh.
And John is the preacher, so he's in white. I forget what they say Ringo is.
The Undertaker or...
Undertaker or something like that. And then, like, George is the gravedigger.
Oh.
Because he's in jeans.
And
then
Paul's
Paul-
the corpse.
Paul's the corpse, and so he doesn't have shoes on. And the other thing is that in this picture, he's holding a cigarette. It's really hard to see what I'm showing you.
No, I see
He's
it.
holding a cigarette in his left hand.
That's his right hand.
Oh yes, right. So it's in his right hand, but Paul's left-handed. So they're like, why is he holding the cigarette in his right hand? Because, like, smokers don't generally, like, hold their cigarette in their offhand.
See, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'm just saying that that's the theory. I'm not saying I came up with it.
Got it. Yeah.
But yeah. So, I mean, I like having my Beatles albums and stuff. And, well, the Japanese ones are cool, too.
Yeah, Rainbow Goblin. That's interesting.
Oh, no. This is trying to fall over. Yeah, let me pull that out. Rainbow Goblin.
Oh, it's nice cover art. I like it.
It is. It's cool. And, well, this also is not available, like, on the iTunes store.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one advantage of having the album is I literally had to ripped MP3s off of the... Like, that turntable has functionality to plug the output into a USB.
Yeah.
And that's how I, like, recorded it. So.
I mean, yeah, I think you can find it on YouTube now, but that's about it, I think, for Rainbow
That
Goblin.
one's cool, too. An Insatiable High.
Oh.
And the title, or not the title track, the opening song, "Sexy Dance," is one of it's one of the grooviest songs I've ever heard.
It's almost too groovy for me.
Really?
It's like it's almost an unbearable amount of groove.
See, I feel like listening to that while we're high would be really, really fun. Because it would just be like flowing through you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That bass line.
Well, that's the main lead guitar line. It's not even the bass.
I know, but I was actually just thinking of Rainbow Goblins.
Oh,
It
yeah.
has some crazy bass.
That does have some funkadelic bass on it. So, yeah. All that started because you said Wings Over America.
Oh.
But, yep. It's interesting because I remember thinking to myself as a kid, and by kid I mean like ages like 8 to 12, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking to myself, like, I love music, I love listening to music, but there's no one band that I just really like. Like, it's just tons of singles.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I had to, like, I would try to make playlists and stuff that I enjoyed, but I just didn't, like, I couldn't get into it as much.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was 14 and Beyonce's self-titled album came out, and I was just entranced.
Oh.
I mean, you know why the reason I started listening to Beyonce, right? No, I mean, you know. It's because the person that I liked was a Beyonce fan.
Was it Hannah? Big
No.
Lips? Oh.
Not Big Lips, Cookie Lips.
Oh.
I forgot that I called her that. Yeah, she was in my phone as Cookie Lips for a long time.
She had some big ass lips.
She did.
Honestly, she had like a black face, but she was white. Like,
That is so true.
she was just a black girl who had white skin, basically. Like, she was thick.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, it's, you know.
Not super dark skin, but like definitely mulatto.
Yeah, maybe a quadroon.
Is that a real word?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like a quarter?
It's
Is that a derogatory term though?
no. Well, I don't know if it is.
I've never heard it before.
It's an old term. It's like mulatto, but it's just quadroon. You know, mulatto is half and half. Quadroon is a quarter.
Okay. I wonder if mulatto is considered derogatory. I didn't think it was.
I mostly picked it up from Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Let me look it up. Oh, it says it's dated and offensive. Whoops.
You know, offensive to who? It's in Archer, you know, so.
I mean, you know,
It's a
I'm
song.
not trying to get canceled here.
I'm pretty sure it's a song by a black person, so. Is that.
It also though, NWA, you know? See, is a white person saying NWA? Is that wrong?
What's NWA? Non-white American?
No. It's with attitude.
Oh.
But is saying the abbreviation, is that wrong?
Well, is saying the N-word wrong? Like saying literally the word, the N-word.
Oh,
like
yeah,
saying
yeah. I should pull a Bert Kreischer and just clip that audio out.
saying the N-word wrong? No. Here's the thing. Morally speaking, it is not wrong, in my opinion. But
well, the problem is that opinions have no bearing on people
Yes, it is wrong to say it if
It's the emotion.
you're wanting to maintain a sensible conversation, and not get censored. Honestly, Dave Chappelle's joke about the censorship lady, it really hits me. Like, it's so perfect about you can't say, am I allowed to say it? I'm kind of gay.
I don't think so.
No, not allowed to say the F word.
You can say gay slur.
Gay slur. I mean, see, the problem is you have to be so famous before you're able to say slurs. Like, Tom Segura could let one N-word slip in a special. Like, he could get away with it if it was a good joke. Like, if it was just like Dave Chappelle can yell, faggot! On stage,
Yeah.
he's okay. Because he's Dave Chappelle.
Well,
that's the thing.
I honestly don't know about that. I don't know if people would feel the same way.
I don't think they would feel the same way, but he could get away with it. For sure.
I don't know if I agree.
I don't think it would ruin his career like a well-written inward joke.
I would say to give sorry, my brain just like shut down for a second. Something that would be supporting your argument is that there's a clip on Your Mom's House where Bert Kreischer tells a joke.
Yeah, with
the N-word in it.
The ends in the N-word, yeah.
And he basically says, he's like, it's really funny. It could be one of my best jokes, but to do it, I would have to say the N-word.
Yes.
Like 100 times. Meaning that like he would have to say it every night during his show to practice the joke, to make the joke good enough to be on a special.
Yeah.
So he's like, I can't do it because I would have to say the N-word like 100 times.
And then, any one of those times, it could be not that great of a joke.
Right, and if the execution isn't perfect, then
yeah, because it has to be funny. If it's not funny, it just looks like you're just using it as an excuse to say the N-word. Which, if it's really funny and it works, then it's like, okay, we give you a pass because like you're a comedian, and like we know that in the past you've respected it, and like it's just for this one joke.
But see, I feel like just to be able to be the best comic in America at this point, you have to be black, just so that you can use the N-word.
And just so you can, the whole
like, I think that's one of the things that makes Dave Chappelle great, is that he can speak about the racial tensions in America, because that's one of the main things that people experience.
Yeah, and he's able to talk about it. It's the whole punching up thing. And like Ricky Gervais talks about that, right? It's like, as a comedian, you're only allowed to punch up, is the whole idea.
Well, that's not always true.
Well, as a general rule, that's what people feel like. Like, if you're making fun of disabled kids, it's like, oh, that's not cool, because, you're punching down.
It's still pretty funny, though.
It is really, But the whole, like, Chappelle's black, so he's able to, talk about the racial issues, and
he's still punching down quite a bit.
He does.
A lot of
he punches
material.
on like the trans people.
Or he's like, Elizabeth Smart. Turns out she wasn't so smart after all. I watched For What It's Worth the other day at work, and
what's For What It's Worth?
That's the second one of his old ones, where he's in the
got it, yes.
like the shirt with the two guys boxing on the bottom of his shirt.
Yep.
It ain't gonna kill you, but it's gonna fuck your day up.
You there, put your fists together. That is better.
No, he's like, that's better. That is better.
Better.
You can't come on all of us. Rush him. Just then he popped out a shot.
I had to say something. I was sitting next to
him. That, from start to finish, like the way he starts it off by saying like,
just the
it's fucked up that I can't smoke. Like, people always get mad at me when I smoke in public.
Yeah.
Like the way, like that's the way he leads into the joke is so perfect.
Yes.
And then he's like, no one was saying anything to him.
They're like, put out your damn cigarette. Meanwhile, there's a homeless guy jerking off. No one said anything to him. Finally, I worked up the courage. I was like, hey man, could you stop hitting my
Hit my elbow.
I was like, I had to say something. He was hitting my elbow. Yeah, he's a great comedian.
Yeah, but his bit on that special as well, when he's like, "How old is 15 really?" That is a great. That's a great premise and a great execution.
He really does tackle, like, he definitely says offensive things. Controversial, I guess. Yeah.
See, and I don't think I realized as much how controversial they are until I told the Elizabeth Smart joke to Chrissy, and she was livid. And she's like, I went to one of her talks when I was at BYU. And I was like, oh shit.
Brilliant.
Because it's like, yeah, she was kidnapped and raped, and like, she was away from her family for like 11 months. And I was like, it's not as funny when you put it that way, but you know, just saying she wasn't so smart after all. That's golden.
But also,
you have to take me farther away from my house.
It only really works in the context of a black guy making fun of a white girl. Like,
who's also 6 or 15 years old.
Yes. And like, there's this other girl who is black, who is 8, who escaped. Like, it doesn't work if you just compare it to another white girl. Or like, it's just like somewhere else someone escaped, but this girl was kidnapped and raped.
Yeah. I love the moment when he's like, don't try to escape or we'll kill you, bitch. And then she's like, oh, come on, Elizabeth. How am I going to get out of this? Like, they didn't tie her up or nothing. If you kidnap me, you're going to have to take me farther than 8 miles away from my house. Like, and let me go. That's my bus stop.
That's my bus. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, Chappelle, I think, he is the greatest comic of all time, for me.
You pull up that video and send it to the track of I Believe I Can Fly. You're going to have some very conflicting feelings.
In the heart of Texas, too?
You still listen to Michael Jackson's music? That's what I thought, bitch. That actually might be a Aziz bit. I'm not... Isn't...
I'm not sure. I don't remember that exact line, but...
It's do you listen to R. Kelly stuff? Of course not. He's a monster. Do you listen to Michael Jackson stuff? It's like, well...
I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of R. Kelly before the whole, do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Do you want to come back to America?
I'm not sure about
Have you
that
seen that footage?
I have not. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know almost any of R. Kelly's stuff.
No, that's not a real song.
I know, it's just a parody, right?
No.
Is it just him singing to somebody?
So he's in Ethiopia doing a concert.
I got it.
Yeah.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America? America.
It goes on like this for a long time.
Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots?
So he's literally like,
Just
because he had like a sex cult in LA, right? Of all these girls.
Oh, really?
So like the whole thing is he's literally asking them like,
Hey,
will you come to America with us and like be a concubine?
I think the modern term is groupie.
I mean, not the way he was slanging it.
I don't know. Groupies did some pretty heinous shit. You know, I feel like the video camera ruined a lot of people's careers.
and screenshotting. By the way, what's your take on the Chris D'Elia situation?
I'm
heard about that?
I'm not up to date.
So Chris D'Elia
Did he get caught doing some shit?
He got caught chatting up some minors.
Oh!
And it's so the thing is that the screenshots that have surfaced are messages that he sent in 2014. And you have to remember,
adults.
well, no, like, so I think one of the girls was like 17 at the time, and the other one was like, had just turned 18, but he's still like 30 at the time.
Okay.
So it's like, it's sketchy. But the thing is, that you have to remember is, this is a pre-Me Too era.
Yes.
In 2014. People were not being as careful.
People were not being as careful.
To me, the allegations, it felt like there was a bit more credence to them, because I was like, yeah, like somebody, like anybody who was doing that kind of stuff has probably cleaned up their act in recent years.
Uh-huh.
But like the idea that back in 2014 they did that is totally believable to me.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, also just Chris D'Elia, like, I've never liked him. I've always gotten a feeling about him that he's something going on. He's a dark artist, you know?
You know, how old is 15 really?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't destroy his career over it. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, the allegations do seem, I don't know. I thought the most telling thing, honestly, was how quickly all of his friends just abandoned ship.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do at this point. It's like, oh, yep, he's not good. Like, that's...
No, I don't know about that, because some stuff came out about Joey Diaz, and tons of people were like, no, Uncle Joey is a great guy.
That's Joey, though. That's entirely different. Like,
no, but that's what I'm saying, is that people... Like, the way people know you and how much they trust you affects what they think when they hear these allegations.
But also, Joey Diaz is a monster. Like
he's a literal cocaine addict.
Exactly. Like, he is completely honest that he was a monster for many years. And so, it's like Bill Cosby. The reason that was so upsetting is that he was the role, like, he was the family man. He was,
yeah, it's like if Kevin Hart raped a bunch of people and we found out about it.
Even that's less shocking than Bill Cosby. It's like, for white people, it's almost like Mr. Rogers. Like, if...
I don't know if...
Bill Cosby was that
It's
wholesome.
more in that vein.
Like, Bill Cosby was that wholesome.
I don't know if he was that wholesome. I mean, so I've seen some of his stand-up. It wasn't that clean.
Maybe it wasn't, like, 100% clean. His
It's not Mr. Rogers level. It's definitely more of a...
But his persona was definitely, like, he's a comedian. Like, Mr. Rogers wasn't a comedian, I guess. So that's kind of where the difference... But, like, his show and everything and what he did for people, like, that's kind of how he was viewed, as, like, a Mr. Rogers-esque personality.
I feel like it's closer to, like, Bob Saget, where, like, he was on Full House, but then, you know... Maybe. He's also, like, a nighttime comic.
Yeah, I guess that's probably, you know, but everything he did in the community also is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
not just his career, but like Dave Chappelle talks about, like, right, like all his donations and the fun and like.
Yeah, I get your point.
He's not just a celebrity. Like that's not all he was. He was like specifically a role model. Like Kevin Hart, he's kind of just a celebrity. Like no one looks up to him.
I love that. I love that Norm. Well, actually, that's not true.
I know it's not true.
I don't think. But
people do look up to him.
I love Norm Macdonald's bits about Bill Cosby, where he's like, "Yeah, I used to listen to his albums all the time, and I didn't even like his stand-up. I just, you know, wanted to be like him as a man."
I mean...
Well, it's really funny. He's like, I used to have one of the best Bill Cosby stories in all of entertainment. Now it's not even in the top 1,000.
Brilliant. Anyway, yeah. So, like, but Joey Diaz, he's a monster. Of like, even if someone, like, in one of his stand-ups, he talked about kidnapping someone. Like,
yeah,
that's a thing he did. So
he committed many felonies, for sure.
Someone coming out and saying, like, oh, Joey Diaz coerced me into having sex as a 17-year-old is like, that's not the worst thing he's done. Like, we've already forgiven him for other shit. That's, you know.
He also said one time on a podcast, Joey, he's like, if I had sucked my dick, I would kill myself. Like, any girl who's done it, I'm surprised they're still alive. They should have killed themselves after sucking my dick. Did you watch that video I sent you today of him laughing?
I haven't yet.
Oh, well, I don't know if I should play it on here. It's
10
kind of
minutes
long,
or so.
maybe. Well, it would only. Here, let me try and pull up the.
But anyway,
my comparison, it sounds like someone's trying to kickstart a steamboat, is accurate. I promise you.
Finest moments in podcasting, believe it or not, had nothing to do with me. I get a call one
Let me try and forward it a little bit.
Over there 20 minutes too early. Joy, it's 9 o'clock, and Ralphie takes him to where he goes.
Bear with me
and
here.
I'm 4 o'clock at night, so I'm going to follow the fucking leader. Getting your daughter's dollars. It was how's the dollhouse? It was destroyed. It was like a meteor hit one of those Chinese villages. It was, and I remember being perfectly sure
that's pretty much it. It you know, they're telling a story about when you know who Ralphie May is?
Yeah.
He's like
I've seen some of his stand up. Yeah.
He went over there to do a podcast with Bert and Joey, but he was so fucked up that he literally just like stumbled and passed out outside. And he fell on some of Bert Kreischer's like his kid's dollhouse in the front yard or something. Like he fell on top of it and just destroyed it.
Yeah.
And they went out there after like they finished filming the podcast, and they went out there, and he was just like laying there, just like in a pile, like he was all fucked up and stuff, baked out of his mind. Apparently, I don't know if he was taking anything else, but. Uncle Joey's laugh is just so tremendous. Tremendous. It has forever changed my perspective of Joey Diaz now that I feel like I became him for 15 minutes.
It's kind of like when you called out to Johnny Cash. It's like you summoned the essence of Joey Diaz.
Yeah, for sure. Because I could feel it. Like, I could feel the spirit take over my body, you know? But.
Well, yeah. Anyways, Chris D'Elia, he looks like a pervert. So D'Elia, whatever.
D'Elia, yeah.
I've never liked his stand-up either. I've tried a few of his specials, watched like 5 to 10 minutes, and gave up on them. So, you know, I agree. It's kind of gratifying that he's a pervert, you know? It's like his stand-up is bad, so he must be, you know, a pedophile sort of thing.
Must is a strong word, but I do get what you mean. So.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't... Honestly, though, I'm what may be colloquially known as a victim blamer. Like, yes, maybe Michael Jackson had sex with some boys, but what were they wearing? But honestly, here's
all of a sudden, Mike pulled out some pills and started sucking his dick.
A 30-year-old hitting on a 19-year-old?
That's not assault, that's a good hose. God damn, what else do you want?
Exactly.
That's such a great
It's a great bit. I've said that in public a few times, and it's controversial.
Yeah,
that's one that's made like Magda,
reciting Chappelle's stuff is.
Magda has legitimately hit me because of that one. Like she hits me just when I say things that are like startling or whatever, but she was genuinely upset at me for that one.
Well, who did you say it in front of?
It was just in front of friends. Like they laughed, but she was upset at me for. Her friends are all very cautious.
It was like when we were at the table with Amanda, and I was like, "You can't just say that."
Exactly. When I told her she had dead eyes. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's a pretty mean thing to say. I mean, I stand by my comments at the time.
See,
but
I feel like the fact that I said that, it just means that I really understood her level of, because, like, I wouldn't have said that to Chrissy by any means. Like, that wouldn't have been... I feel like I read the situation very well.
I mean, I guess I gotta give it to you for that one. I mean, you're right. Like...
I mean, generally, I err on the side of mean and non-filtered. Like, generally, that's how I introduce myself to people. Because I find it's easier to interact after that, just in general. Like, if you start off being offensive, but in a kind of funny way, people give you a little more wiggle room in the future.
Or they just immediately hate you.
But then they just back off, and it's, it lets me know. It's a good... it's a good litmus test for being around people.
I feel like they're a better test. Like, just for me personally.
I mean, yeah, that's...
Well, my natural disposition is just a bit different than yours.
That's true. But yeah, like, I told the whole, I'm what's known as a victim blamer, and then, I was like, yes, Michael Jackson fucked some boys, but what were they wearing? And yeah, that one was... upsetting to people. It's an upsetting joke. I get why.
Well, victim blaming is one thing. It's the parents who are to blame. Like, who in their right mind lets their 10-year-old son go and stay over at Michael Jackson's house without any other adults present?
I mean, I'm sure there are other adults present. He has servants.
Even so, like...
People will do whatever, at least they used to. Celebrities were just trusted, like, inherently. It's like a celebrity was just... You could leave your child with a celebrity because you knew them. I feel like until, like, the 90s, maybe even early 2000s, most celebrities... mainstream celebrities, that is. Obviously, no one, most people wouldn't trust their kids.
Yeah, like, I would leave my son with Paul McCartney.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Even though Paul McCartney has done a ton of drugs. And, like, maybe...
It's still, it's very negligent.
It is. But parenting, honestly, negligence just describes parenting until, like, 1990. I'm not saying it was a bad thing.
Well, and in your case, until like 2007.
Oh, well, they actually were pretty, they were two on hand at first. That just describes fourth children in general. Unless you have a very controlling parents, fourth children are neglected, quite a bit more. It's just, it's a fourth kid. It's a spare, basically, at that point.
I mean, for sure, when I was a teenager, my parents... Well, I wouldn't say they were negligent, but they pretty much let me do absolutely whatever I wanted.
Yeah, and like part of it is also both of us were smart and mature for our age. Like, we weren't. There wasn't the threat of us getting anyone pregnant or anything like that. So,
I mean,
them's the breaks.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that's the biggest
thing
parents
definitely a threat of taking drugs, but honestly, like, now that I know what drugs actually do. Well, I will say it's probably not good for you to be getting like fucked up when your brain is still developing.
Yes.
Like, that's for sure. I've actually thought about scaling down on the acid just because of that in general. I feel like it's a two-way street where I'm like, I could be changing my brain chemistry
For
in a
better
good
or
way.
for worse.
Yeah, basically. It's like I'm at an age where my brain is still plastic enough where it's like I could be fucking my shit up.
Yes.
You never know. But yeah, I did more. Was it ecstasy that you were saying you were surprised I would never do?
Yeah.
I did more research on it, and yeah, it's definitely super dangerous.
Dangerous or just bad for you afterward? Because, yeah, the come down is way worse.
Well, okay, so the difference between acid and ecstasy, in layman's terms, is that LSD replaces serotonin or acts like serotonin in your brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But ecstasy causes all of the serotonin that your brain has naturally produced to be released all at the same time.
Yeah, so you have the come down with lack of serotonin afterwards, potentially for a couple of weeks, right?
And from everything that I've seen about it, like, it's really, really hard for your brain to recover from that. And when you do it multiple times, like, your brain's ability to produce serotonin is depleted. It's the same way as like when people take crystal meth, shoots your dopamine levels up so high that your brain ceases to be able to feel happy without having the meth.
Yeah.
Like, because it just can't produce dopamine that satisfies the need anymore.
I mean, yes, so it's probably more addictive than acid, but
it's not only more addictive, but like it does damage to your brain over time. Like, yeah, if you take it once a year, it's probably not going to kill you.
I think large amounts of acid could probably do similar amounts of damage.
Well, I agree with that. I mean,
again, I think it's kind of like
the dose I took.
McDonald's is bad for you, but you can do it on occasion. And like for me, like I wouldn't try ecstasy, more than like once a year. Like I would try it. It wouldn't be
the problem is that I'm pretty sure. Well, the other thing I've heard is it's one of the most psychologically addicting drugs that there is. Not physically addicting, but like people, once they've taken it, they don't just take it one time.
Like they want to get back to it again.
Like it's like eating a single Lay's chip.
Yeah.
You know?
You want that sensation. I mean, I feel like, I guess, yeah, it's probably just even more than acid. I feel it's similar.
I mean, acid is already somewhat psychologically addicting to me personally.
Oh, it's for sure addicting.
Like, I definitely had an urge to take some this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean,
and it's been 3 weeks since the last time, but even so, that's like, in the span of acid time frames, that's still not very long to wait in between trips.
Yeah.
Most people recommend like every other month at like the very most.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, that's not with the doses that I've been taking either.
And that was, like Jay, the stoner chick who I originally got the acid from, she's like, yeah, I'll take like one tab every other month just as like a fun time.
Yeah, that's one tab.
One tab.
And I've been taking like, I took like 250, which is like basically, well, let's just say like, I basically took 2 hits.
Yeah.
I basically took 2 hits, 1 hit, 4 hits,
and then 6 hits.
and then 6 hits. All within the span of 3 weeks. So, I mean, the good thing is that after that, I was like, okay, I get it now. I don't need to like.
But yeah,
I feel like I did go deep enough that I got what I needed out of it.
But yeah, there's definitely a craving for that sensation. Because it's definitely nothing I've ever felt before. Like,
people say that it's possible, like, it's possible to get the same thing out of it just by like meditating or whatever.
See, I feel like
I honestly don't know if that's true.
I think yes, probably if you dedicate your life to it. Like I'm sure there are some people who have achieved that, but those people
Like,
are
if you're a
fucking
monk-
insane.
Yeah, if you're a monk and the only thing you do is meditate for like 4 or 6 hours a day, and like you only eat plants that are stimulating your brain, and like
Yeah,
you
and
never have any junk food.
but there are also people who spend 20 years with a vow of silence and don't speak for 20 years. So like, yeah, people can do crazy shit, but not in your current state. Like you have to completely change how you live and be completely focused on that one goal to achieve anything close to that.
See, is it a vow of silence if you just carry around a notepad? I feel like that's defeating the purpose. You just have to not communicate with anyone for it to be real.
I feel like it's easier now if you just,
you just text people.
Yeah, you could just text.
Like, even if the guy's over on the couch, you just text him, like, what do you want for lunch? And he's just like, you know? Like, that's not a vow of silence. You just don't like talking. You know?
I mean, it would be more so if you took a vow of silence and that no one could speak to you also. Because, like, not hearing a human voice or, speaking,
yeah,
even if you could still communicate via text or writing, it would still be a feat of will.
See, I don't feel like, well, I don't know. Why would you want to do that is the question.
It's mastery, self-mastery. That's the whole point of all of those things. It's, am I able to not talk for 20 years? Like, am I able to master myself so much that I don't utter a single word?
But I feel like the fact that your life is so limited means that that's not at all worth it. Like, what does it matter if you master yourself for 20 years? You've just wasted the best 20 years of your life.
It's Eastern religion is inward focused, not outward focused.
I suppose.
Must
be thundering outside.
The whole point of Buddhism is to master yourself. It's that, through enlightenment, you are all you need, basically. It's that the external world doesn't matter. It's that the external world almost is like fake. And that upon enlightenment, when you truly master yourself, you reach the true world, right? You reach nirvana or whatever. But
see, I just feel like I've experienced my own mind enough that I feel like it's just much better to lead a life where you do like things outside yourself. I get it though, kind of.
I mean, it's just a completely different perspective. It's an opposite perspective.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it, but I get it.
I wouldn't do it, but I get it. It definitely, it appeals to me, but again, I think just being raised in a Western culture also, it would be very hard to make that change in your perspective. Especially like your dad and my mom are workaholics. Like they're very much results. Like you should be putting effort into the world around you. Like that's that's the goal. Especially like Mormonism in general. It's very results oriented. It's very much you should be contributing to the whole around you, that sort of thing. So it's just an entirely different mindset than Eastern religion, which is the world around you doesn't matter and you should be focusing inward on yourself. Not on hedonism, but
I just don't
mastery.
I don't understand, like, just looking around the world and seeing how much suffering there is, how you would conclude that the most important thing is yourself. Well, I get how people conclude that, but
well, not only
I think there's more to life than just being okay by yourself alone.
Again, that's a different perspective.
I mean, well, I saw, it's really funny. Have you seen the Rick and Morty clip where he's like, he builds the robot to pass butter?
Yeah. It's like, is that
He's like,
all I am?
what is my purpose? You pass butter. Oh my god. Like,
Yeah.
the existential crisis. And then, like, the top comment on YouTube is, what is my purpose? You pass DNA. And it's like...
Yeah. I mean, you recently messaged me with that whole, life just a series of addictions, right? Or it's just a series of addictions
Yeah,
you're trying to satisfy.
Well, yeah, I thought about that because I was like, I feel like a lot of my life in the past has been defined by things I was addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, well, now I've just gone from having to do such and such to now I have to do these other things instead.
Yeah.
Like, now, instead of watching TV all day, I have to go to work. It's like, well, am I addicted to work, or is it something I need to survive? Like, what is the fundamental difference between addicted and need it to be able to survive?
Well, it's like, are you addicted to survival?
Like, everybody on Earth is addicted to food.
Yes.
By the definitions of addiction, it's pretty much you go into withdrawal symptoms after not having it for, like, not very long.
Yeah.
And you'll die. Like, the withdrawal is so terrible that it just kills you.
Well, actually, no. The withdrawal doesn't kill you.
You get what I'm saying, though. Like, it's...
So, here's what I would say. Almost everyone, other than a few gurus, who are able to fast for, 15 days. Like, at that point, you're no longer addicted. Like, if you're able to do that, I would say it's not an addiction.
But if you're like, I could stop whenever I wanted to, I just don't want to.
Yeah, but if they...
But here, let me prove it to you that I could stop. You're still addicted to it, though.
No, because once you've proved that you can stop, then it's just you just need it for survival. It's no longer an addiction.
I guess. But, well, my point is that, like, just being alive means that you necessarily need all these things constantly.
Yes.
Like, you either need to be entertained, or you need to eat something, or you need to be able to bust your nut off, or, like, there's just all, like, we're just constantly serving our own needs all the time.
Yes.
Or other people's needs. Sometimes.
Well, no. If you're serving other people's needs, you're still just serving your own. It's, it's impossible to separate.
They work together, but yeah.
There are no selfless acts, purely.
I don't know if there's no purely selfless acts.
Name one.
If the continuation of the species is considered something that you need to do, like a self-sacrifice, so that other people would live.
There's no self-sacrificing acts. Like, sacrificing yourself, but there's nothing that's selfless, and that you get nothing out of it.
Well, yeah, but if you die so that everyone else can live, you don't get anything out of that, really.
Yeah, you do. In the moment of sacrifice. I guess
in the moment you know that's...
If you make that choice, you're getting the satisfaction of having made that choice. Like, you only make choices because they're satisfying.
I guess.
Otherwise, it's forced upon you, and it's no longer, a sacrifice. All I'm saying is there's no purely selfless act because you also want it, or else you wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. One of the best things about Django Unchained as a movie is that he just shoots the guy, knowing that he'll die. He shoots him just for the satisfaction.
Which guy?
So, Schultz shoots Candy.
Oh, yes.
Knowing that
he will be killed also.
He will be killed instantly. But he just shoots Candy anyways because it's satisfying.
Because he wants Candy to be dead.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he also knows, or at least, it's like Django and the girl, Gerda?
I'm not gonna even help you out. I'm just gonna watch you flop around like a fish.
Gildred?
You're almost close.
I know it's German. Gertrude. Erkelgrew.
You're getting farther away.
Broomhilda.
Yeah.
Got it. Just took a minute. He also knew that Django and Broomhilda would die. At least, he suspected it.
There's a very high chance. Yeah, from him doing that, it almost ensures that they're all going to die.
Yeah, and he apologizes, but he's like, fuck it.
Yeah. That's what makes him, like, a great morally ambiguous character, is that, like, in the end, he's not really sacrificing himself for them, because it's like, by him killing them, they're pretty much all gonna die.
Yeah. He's sacrificing them so that he
actually they're gonna just become slaves again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Which is, you could say it's worse than death, in some ways.
In some sense, they will die.
Yeah.
Slavery is the death of a man.
Joey Diaz said he's died 3 times.
Literally or psychically?
Like, psychically.
Hmm.
Well, like, so...
Probably literally, too.
The crazy thing is that he found his mother dead on the floor when he was high on acid.
Oh, fuck. That's a bad trip.
That's a bad trip. And, like, from the way he tells the story, I don't think he was, like, still peaking. I think it was probably, like, 6 hours after he took it. Maybe 6 to 8 hours after. So yeah. Definitely probably on the come down. But still, you're still pretty fragile at that point.
Yeah.
Damn. And he found her dead on the floor of a cocaine overdose, I'm pretty sure.
Comes by honestly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you wonder why he became what he became and why he just has to stay inebriated with edibles and pot, like, all the time.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, it is also, I think he talked about it a bit, is like, he's constantly on edibles so that he doesn't go back to cocaine. That's part of it. It's like, if he were sober, he would go back to hard drugs. Sort of thing.
I mean, I think recently he's actually been more sober in general because, he said that, so in California, maybe nationwide, but I know at least in California, they limited the edible dosages to 10 milligrams per thing, whatever it is, and the limit per package is 10. So 10 milligram, whatever they are, like gummies or whatever, is the most you can legally sell.
That's just his normal dose.
100 milligrams is like an appetizer for Uncle Joey. Like, he's taken, like, heroic doses of this stuff before. Like, 1,500 milligrams he's taken. So his tolerance is so high that once they, like, lowered the consumption, he said it's just, like, it's so hard for him to get up there anymore to the number where he does anything.
He's basically sober.
He's basically sober, like, a lot of the time recently.
I'm surprised he doesn't just get it illegally.
I feel like Uncle Joey might not know about the Darknet's existence.
I guess that's fair.
But also, I mean, he smokes a lot.
Oh, okay.
But
it's different than edibles.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
I feel like people who smoke every day they're not even really that far away from sober.
Depends how much you smoke.
I feel like after a while that just starts becoming your new normal, and then you like function pretty well.
I think then you just become just a slightly dumber person. Like
Yeah.
like you function normally, just you function as if you were slightly dumber.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And like probably a bit more dissociated from your life.
I don't know about that one. It's hard to say how much the weed.
You don't think it dulls the pain?
To me, dissociation and being numb are two different things.
That's fair. I feel like it numbs quite a bit.
They're related sensations, but they're not the same thing. Or maybe dissociation is just a complete numb. Maybe it is just like it's a 100%.
I feel like numb is just like the beginning of a dissociated feeling. For me, anyways. I mean, I've never been to the point where I actually felt like I was outside my body. Like, other people have said that, like, true dissociation is like you're watching your life through a VHS tape, like on like a fuzzy screen. And I've definitely never experienced that. But
see, I don't know about the whole fuzzy screen thing. And I don't.
There's
I wouldn't call it an out of body experience. Like, I don't know about that, but like.
Yeah, I think for some people it's as if they're like not in their body.
I've definitely had moments where my brain was just like, my body is a meat suit. Like, I'm not my body. It's not like I'm viewing myself from outside. It's like my body is. Like, I interact with it, it isn't me. I've had moments like that.
See, I feel like that's my baseline. Kind of. Like, a mild version of that is sort of...
Well, but just on a day-to-day basis, right? You get hit, it hurts. Like it hurts you. It's not... it's like, yes, it's my hand. Like, it's a part of me. Like, most of the time, that's how you view your body. It's like, it's a part of me. You might have dysmorphia, right? Or it's like, you don't recognize your body when you look at it, or that sort of thing. Like,
I think that's what I mean. Like, I've just dissociated myself from my body.
I guess, yeah. But that's like a visual thing. It's, you don't recognize your body when you look at it. I'm more talking about the sensations.
I recognize it, but it's a different issue, probably. But.
Oh, well, I'm not saying you don't recognize it as yours. Not that you aren't aware that it's your body. But like, dysmorphia is you don't look the way that your body doesn't look the way that you perceive yourself. Which is, so like when you see your body, it doesn't look like your body. It doesn't look like you.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about then?
It's just like it's almost a philosophy of like just the way I think about things. Of like, I'm not my body. My body's like a statue that I'm working on.
Oh.
In the words of Dorian Yates.
I guess. And
I'm somewhat separate from it. Like, yesterday, for example, my feet were killing me, so I went for a walk, and I'm actually pretty sure I've lost enough weight that I've gone down a shoe size. And so my shoes were so loose that it started giving me blisters. And I was able to just be like, the pain isn't me, it's just a feeling that my body's making. Like,
yeah, so dissociation is that, but it's everything you're feeling. So yeah, that's the same thing, right? You dissociate the pain, which is why people who, are in severe pain often dissociate, or like, shock patients, they'll dissociate, that sort of thing. It's definitely it's a mechanism to protect yourself.
Like I said, I think I have like a mild form of that almost all the time. Like, it doesn't bother me because, like I said, it's almost just a philosophy.
Yeah.
It's like, I almost like it being that way because it's like, I don't think you should be I don't know. Your body's like a car that you drive. Like, I'm not my car.
Yeah.
No.
But,
I almost think of my body as a car that I drive.
But there's also, like, the whole thing where, for some people, they are their car. Like, their car is them.
Yeah.
Like, they associate even social... And, like, I feel like for you, sometimes your stuff is you, right? And, like, you've talked about that. Like, they have meaning now, and maybe it's less so. But, like...
Well, yeah, you talked about the fact that you should try to eliminate the idea that, like, you are separate from the things that you do.
Yeah.
Or, like, the places that you spend your time are parts of you that you've organized into these objects.
Yeah. So, it's... So dissociation is, there's just levels of it. The hardest thing to dissociate
there's definitely levels
is your body. Like, I feel like. I guess, theoretically, you could dissociate from your own emotions, like your own mind, at some point. I'm not sure how that would work. Like,
that's just ego death.
I've never dissociated from my own thoughts. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is a
thing. I think on certain drugs it's definitely possible.
But see, you still are your thoughts. So I don't know. I guess, like...
No, well, like, on salvia, you're just... I think that goes out the window.
That'd be
you should look up stories of people's salvia trips.
See, here's the thing, though. I don't trust people describing their mental activity.
That's fair.
I don't think people in general have a good grasp on the effect that they're actually describing. I just don't trust people.
From what I've heard, it's like LSD, DMT. You experience something crazy, but you're still yourself. But on salvia, it's like you are no longer yourself.
Sage of the diviners.
It's actually legal in most places.
I mean, you can get sage at the store. Let's party.
Well, it's not sage. It's super powerful. Like, I've heard some people say it's the most terrifying experience of their entire life. But anyways. But yeah, I've definitely experienced a lot more dissociation after that edible that I took. When I was, like, way too high. It became almost like tripping while I was really high on the edible. Like,
yeah, the edible definitely is, like, you trip.
I was really starting to become, like, dissociated from reality, I would say. Like, it didn't feel like my job was real. Or, like, it seemed hard for me to believe that, like, my normal life is just me going to a job. It didn't seem... It was weird. I don't know, but I think I've cultivated a certain amount of dissociation about my body, just... I don't know, it's weird, because it's like, I've heard people say that on acid you should never look into a mirror, especially if you have any, like, self-esteem issues.
Oh.
But, like, I feel like I've told you about, well, I sent you the picture one time.
Uh-huh.
Like, for me, looking in the mirror on acid is great because it's like, I see the real me.
Apparently 1.5% of 12th graders say they use salvia.
The 12th graders are seniors in high school, so that doesn't surprise me.
I mean, 1.5, so 3 out of every 200 people have used it.
That's like one group of friends per high school. In many places.
That's fair.
I mean, there are high schools that have more kids than that, but... Yeah, that's like one group of friends per 12th grade year. You know? I've heard that it's like... It's the most powerful hallucinogenic drug that there is.
See, like even more than DMT?
Yeah. That's what people say. I don't know. You should just look up some like YouTube videos where people are talking about it, because it's. I've heard people basically say that they stopped existing. They stopped even being human. They were just like became an inanimate object that was inside of like a dream.
I mean, people have described crazy things for acid and DMT too.
That's true.
So it's hard. That's why I don't trust people.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, I think honestly, the effects for people are different. Like,
I think the effects are different.
Us being so aware of the unconscious, it makes our experiences different from other people.
Yes, I also think environment has something to do with it too. Like having a shaman would probably make it a much more mystical experience. Like having a spirit guide there.
I really want to listen to. When you said you listen to classical music, I was like, oh, dude, I would love to listen to Bach's Cello Suite when I was like,
honestly,
super blasted.
The classical was really nice because it is classical's mood music, really. Like it's just all about kind of trying to get feelings out through the instruments.
Well, it reminds me of those records we had. Well, you probably still have them of the.
Yeah, the 10 or like the favorite music from
easy listening stuff. Yeah.
There's like a record for dinner music, and there's a record for like easy. Yeah,
that would be fun to listen to.
Yeah, and I mean, I just pulled up on YouTube just like a collection of classical music, just like 3.5 hours of it. So it just went through random pieces, but it's good. Like honestly, any classical music, it almost dictates what you're feeling in the moment if you're just not thinking very much. Like if you just let yourself float on it, it is really interesting.
I mean, that was the crazy thing about Abbey Road is that the album is so diverse. Like you go from like Octopus's Garden and then you fall hard into I Want You, She's So Heavy.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, because like the libido energy contained in that song is just
I
insane.
Want you. Like I kind of feel that way about The Wall. Like The Wall has a lot of ups and downs. It's very peaky. Like it has hard.
We only listened to it all the way through like once, so it's hard for me to remember it. But
like it has great transitions. It hits you hard with another brick in the wall that's like really manic, and then it like goes down straight into a valley of mother, and it's nice. I like it. But
I like Another Brick in the Wall Part 2.
It's a great song. Yeah.
I used to like not like it because I thought it was like propagandistic, but maybe after taking acid, my perspective on that just changed. Well, no, actually, I started liking it last summer before we had taken anything.
I mean, I guess, is it about the Berlin Wall? Is that what you thought it was about?
No, I got caught up in like the thought control stuff. Like I thought it was about. I sort of thought it was about like the mind control experiments, like Clockwork Orange type stuff.
Oh, okay.
That was sort of the vibe I was associating with it.
Got it.
It's much more. I feel like now it's just about the fact that like your existence is just a small part of this huge machine that exists, which is the world economy and like the society that we live in. Like you're just a brick in this huge wall.
Yeah, and also, the whole theme of the wall throughout is that he builds the wall also. Like, so the wall is the distance, it's the classic metaphor of you put a wall up around you so that other people can't get in, right? So, like, you're just adding another brick to the wall. So, like, damage, trauma, it's just another brick in the wall. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's in my personal wall also. Like, I'm not just another brick in the wall. All of my experiences are just putting another brick in the wall. Like, there's that element to it also.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, and then, right, because
this ex-girlfriend who rejected me, like, There's another brick.
There's another brick in the wall, right? Yeah. And
okay, I feel that.
Yeah, and so and then the whole conclusion, right, at the end of the album, you have the sentencing and the trial, right, at the end of the album, which is he's accused of showing emotion, right? Like that's, I think the words he used, he's been accused of showing human feeling, right? And it's like, you're standing trial behind your wall. And it's like, oh no, like you've been accused of showing feeling and found guilty, and the penalty is that now you have to tear down the wall. Right, and so it's like, oh, you've built up this wall, but now that you're having feelings again, the penalty is that you have to tear it down. So, the whole Dennis thing. It's like, do you not have feelings? No, what I mean is I built up a wall, a callous wall around me. She's tearing it down. In a good way, if I'm not being clear.
Yeah, dude, I have feelings all the time, like every day.
It's like, oh, well, do you remember feelings?
That's such a bizarre question.
But yeah, anyways, that's like, to me, and in Mother, right, it's like, Mother, should I build the wall? And then Mama's gonna, keep everyone out for you. She's gonna help build your wall. So, there's that whole Oedipal element of,
Oh.
Yeah, the mother is, she builds your wall for you so no one else gets in but you and her. It's a pretty, I wouldn't say it's like anything astounding psychologically, but they nailed their issues on the head pretty well.
Yeah, I feel like if the album had more upbeat songs, I would like it more. It's a bit too slow for me.
That's fair. It's pretty slow.
Like, there's only so many guitar solos I can handle without needing, like, I need another verse to, like, keep me going. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, and that one, like, Wish You Were Here, there are some, like, 7-minute guitar solos in that.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, when I was on the acid that last time, I got lost in Wish You Were Here.
Yeah.
Because, like, and it's a nice album, but it is all very similar, right? Like, and like the guitar solos, they are unique when you're familiar with them, but like they're very repetitive in theme and everything. And so like, it's that whole, how long has this moment lasted, right? It's like, because you've been listening to the same guitar solo for 7 minutes. It's like, how long, the whole time distortion thing. It definitely, and then I was looking at fractals, which didn't help, because it's just a looping GIF. And I was like, I got lost a bit.
There was a moment that was actually pretty scary, not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah, you talked about, your moment of almost entering the void.
Well, even before that, a couple minutes before that. So I was listening to, so on Apple Music, it makes you a playlist every year of the songs you listen to most that year.
Okay.
So what I was listening to after I took the 3 tabs is my 2019 most listened to playlist.
Top hits.
But since it's Apple Music, it just grabs like this. If the song has the same name, it'll just grab it, even if it's actually a different version of the song. Oh. And so it grabbed a version of Blackbird.
Oh.
By the Beatles.
Was it like done by someone else or?
No, it was. It's by Paul, but it's like a demo version. So it's very close. Well, it's like one of the takes.
Okay.
It's like take 7 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's playing and it's really, really similar, except at the very end of the song, he like slows down his playing and then just like keeps going like past the point where the normal version of the song ends. Has it already ended? And he just keeps playing. And in my brain, I was like,
am I stuck?
No, I literally thought time was going backwards for like 5 seconds.
Oh!
And it was absolutely terrifying. Because I was like, ah! like, well, because I was in the middle of writing down a sentence at the time too, and I was like, and the ink was already flying all over the page when I was trying to write. Like, it was almost as if I was drawing with liquid ink, and I could see the ink like floating around the page. It was one of the most trippy things I've seen so far, because like the ink was really like moving a lot. And so yeah, it really like it freaks me out for a second, because that whole time dilation thing, when all of a sudden you feel like you've drifted to a stop and then gone back the other way, because like I said, for like that 5 seconds he keeps playing and then plays the same thing he just played, or it was something like that.
Yeah,
I would have to like listen to it again now that I'm sober and kind of pick out the differences.
I mean,
absolutely terrifying though.
I mean, the whole clock situation with Magda, like, if she was any more tripping, it may have been detrimental, you know, because we had the clocks with 2 different times.
Oh yeah.
And so she kept going back in time.
I mean, that's pretty funny.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I definitely.
I also, like, I don't even check the clock for like the peak point. Like, my mind is so I'm not even, like, the clock doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just ignoring it pretty much.
I like to keep track of where I am, because I know how long things are gonna last. You know.
See, for that, well, I start keeping track, you know, when the come down starts happening. Like, I know when I took it, but like during that period when I'm like running up to the peak, I like to just, you know, turn off my mind and float downstream.
I listened to the entire Sgt. Pepper album when I was coming up.
Oh.
This last time. Oh my gosh, just got chills. For most of the time I was laying in the dark as well.
Yeah.
Like pitch darkness. Because I went in this closet right here.
Oh, you were in the closet?
It's like a walk-in closet, so it's deep enough that I can lay down in there.
Nice.
And it was like pitch black. And it's like PTSD, but with something that was like pretty enjoyable. But it's still just like it's like hard to even look back on that, because it's just so much to handle, like, that you're processing. A day in the life, though, when the orchestra is building up. Like, you definitely realize how impactful that is. When you're, and I was higher than I had ever been. Like, I was like nearly in a different dimension, and I was just
than Senator Socks.
I'm getting chills again. It's like,
is time travel possible, Dad?
Is what?
Is time travel possible, Dad? Oh my gosh!
Yes, baby. Why?
What?
Just asking. Send me spiraling. Yeah, I honestly think I might have ruined edibles for myself just by taking such high doses of LSD. Because I think that part of my brain now is like, because I experience the exact same things other people say that they're experiencing with edibles that they enjoy. My brain just hates it now.
Yeah, you really don't like any of the physical sensations, do you?
I like the feeling of like tiredness, kind of, or like that your muscles are relaxing. Like, it makes my muscles relax more than they normally do.
Maybe you just need a muscle relaxer.
I don't know. Well, it's something that also, I can't control.
I guess also, I'm just not sure what your weight has, like how much that affects just how comfortable you are as a baseline.
Oh no, that's one of the things that the LSD actually, the come down, it makes it really hard for me, because like there's a certain amount of aching and pain that my body just ignores
Yeah.
in normal life, and I'm completely aware of it during the come.
So I feel like the physical sensation would probably be better if you weren't always as achy.
Well, with the edible, it literally felt like, in the movie
described the
when they're
skin
taking
rippling
off.
thing.
Well, like imagine like in the movie when they're in the rocket and they're taking off and they're like,
Yeah.
and like you just imagine there's like 100 G's of pressure on their body. And they're vibrating extremely hard. That's what it felt like.
I enjoy that.
See, I just, it's unbearable for me. Like, it's nearly unbearable.
Did you ever get dead arms, where like your arms are so heavy you couldn't lift them?
No.
I
was walking around and moving quite a bit.
See, yeah, I guess maybe it's just like, I was just, because there have been times where I smoked so much weed that I knew I could lift them. But it's like you get into your head. It's kind of like the whole, if you go to sleep, you might kill yourself thing. It's like like my arms are so heavy. What if I try and I can't lift them? And then like you try a little bit and they don't lift. And so that makes you a little more worried. Because you're like, I don't think I can move my arms. But like you don't want to really try in case you're actually paralyzed.
So why? Because it'd be scary to realize that you're paralyzed?
Yeah, because what if you're actually paralyzed? But like, you're not sober.
I don't know.
It's not a sober thought. It's like, I can't move my arms. But then it's kind of comforting. It's like being swaddled in a blanket almost. It's like, well, it's kind of nice to not be able to move my arms. So I'm just going to leave them there. So it's like a mixture of those things. But,
I don't know. I kind of want to try weed at some point and see if it's the same.
I mean, didn't you smoke that once with Barry?
Well, I was by myself after about 10 minutes, but yes.
I mean, so you've tried it.
Well,
you just didn't smoke a lot, right?
Yes, but there's this whole thing. Well, I've read a lot of things that said other people that after they had taken psychedelics, it like changed how weed affected their body.
Oh, really?
That's why I think like that the whole edible thing is like no longer enjoyable for me, because I enjoyed the weed high before.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember feeling like my head felt different and stuff. Like it was the same sorts of feelings. It was just like intensified. And it could just be that the edibles, the way they're metabolized also, is different than when you smoke it. The problem is I don't really want to have like any sort of drug habit where I'm smoking something, because like that is bad for your lungs.
Yeah.
People already have enough of a hard time understanding me. My voice.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe some grit in there would be nice.
Maybe if I talk like Joey Diaz.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of nice.
Tremendous. It's tremendous, dog. I could definitely put on a voice that would make my voice more appealing to other people. I've actually tried that before with like a fairly good amount of success.
Oh. Like a British accent?
No, it's just, it's like wearing a mask. You know?
Yeah. And it's just constant effort.
Yeah.
Until it isn't. You do anything long enough, it just becomes a habit.
Yeah, I guess if you just decide to permanently change your voice.
I mean, my smile is different than it always was. Like, I've permanently changed how I smile. Because I used to not show my teeth.
Yeah, I don't know.
I used to just... But now it makes me more
likable. My upper lip just doesn't move correctly.
I mean, it is a more attractive smile than... That just looks like I'm mildly disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's because I don't crinkle my eyes as much also. It's like most people, when they really smile, they crinkle them a bit. So like if I crinkled them more when I did the closed mouth smile, it would look happier. But I can do this smile without crinkling them, and it still looks happy. Even with dead eyes. Still looks fairly happy.
My fantasies have taken on such a life of their own. Like, they just exist so vividly now that, like, I just slip into them. And it's like...
Did you just slip into a fantasy?
Well, it's not really fantasy exactly. It's just, like, memories that... Like, know why? It's sometimes hard to talk to people because... Like, right now, I've been engaged this entire time. Like, it hasn't really happened that much. But, like, if I'm talking to my mom on the phone, and, like, normally I try to listen to her even if I'm not interested. Like, that's part of being a good listener. But lately, it's like, I'll realize
that you're not really listening?
For the past, like, 10 seconds, I just haven't listened at all, and my mind has just taken off on its own. And yeah, like it's actually made it tougher to like communicate with people because as soon as they stop being interesting to me, like my mind
just
like my mind just aborts the conversation, and then like it takes me a few seconds to like actually be back in the moment.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that.
But when you said that about your eyes, you know, it made me go through changes because, you know, that was one of the things about June that I liked the best is like, I mean, when she was smiling, you could blind her with a shoelace. You know? It was great.
Magda does that too. Like, she really crinkles her eyes. I'm like, that's what makes people think you're Asian. Because you're always squinting. You know.
Anyways.
Poor kid.
It's really weird though, just being at work and like being on a conference call, and then like all of a sudden I'm like 6 years into the past, and like I'm just reliving a memory. Like,
yeah,
you know,
extra vivid.
I feel like that's one of the things the reason why people say that they have flashbacks. It's like, not only does imagining the trip give me like the chills, and like I go back to that place, but I've started having flashbacks about all of my memories.
Oh.
You know, like, I just have flashbacks, and I'm just, for that moment, I'm just consumed by it.
It's just like an extra vivid imagination, basically.
I just go to that place.
Yeah.
And it can change my entire mood in, like, 10 seconds. Like, I can go from, like, one time, I was just sitting at lunch, and I was really happy, and then all of a sudden it just, like, hit me. And I was just like...
Where'd you go?
Like, I went from, like, smiling and laughing, and then I was just, like, instantly, like, morose.
Oh. What took you there?
I was remembering looking at the Ram book.
Ah. Were you morose or just somber?
I was just... I mean, it's a bittersweet feeling, but it's, like...
Why not just sweet? I don't get why that's a thing.
There's just intense...
Like bittersweet chocolate.
I don't know.
Rip.
It's tough.
Goodbye.
But yeah, I remember, like, we're all laughing at the table at work. Like, and Wally was there, and, like, I always laugh a lot when Wally's there, because he is just, like...
Mad lad?
Yeah, he's a mad lad. Oh, he's a very jovial, like, he loves laughing and, like, saying jokes, you know. Yeah, and I totally, like, I went from, like, you know, it was like I was in a skyscraper and I was in an elevator, and I just went from, like, the top of the building to just the ground floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it took, like, I literally felt my face change from, like, being in that, like...
Yeah, the smiling tension.
Yeah, you're almost, like, sore from laughing so much, and then just, like...
It relaxes, yeah.
It, like, completely relaxed, and I was just, like, had no desire to laugh whatsoever.
And it just came upon you, no warning, huh?
I don't know if they noticed either, but it was like, I figured they would have asked me if they noticed. Because I was like,
I don't know.
I was like staring off into infinity for a second there.
They're boomers. They bury shit deep.
Well, I've actually let it slip casually. I was like, oh yeah, it's from the acid. Like, I've just said that like in the middle of a conversation with Malcolm.
With Malcolm, not with everyone, right?
Yeah, not with everyone there. Yeah, I don't want to really bring it up with Greg in case he throws a fit about it. But yeah, like I was like rubbing my eyes, and I was like, my eyes are so sensitive from the acid. He's like,
throwing acid in your eyes?